Hi guys, welcome back to Bohs Fan TV, and today we're back with another video doing another latest news roundup. We'll be discussing the two new kits that have come out in the last week and a bit. We'll be discussing the fixtures that came out today, of course, and also a little bit of transfer news, even though there's not much to talk about. We'll discuss what we can anyway. So yeah, that's all coming up in this video. So we'll start off with the two new kits, starting off with the home kit that came out there in the last week and a bit. Definitely one that split opinion. A lot of people online thinking it's not nice, and there's also been a lot of people saying, they really like it. But you're gonna get that with kids. They're always gonna be divisive. So look, but what I think anyway. Look, I'd be lying if I said I think it was better than a lot of the kits that we put out in the last sort of 7 or 8 years. Look, I really like the meaning behind it. The fact that it's based off the kit that we had in the cup winning year in 1976. The fact that it's based on our tribute of Billy Young, who probably our greatest ever manager, who passed away earlier in the year. I loved all that behind it, but I just think the kit itself, looking at it again here, I don't know, I'm just not really going with it. And the fact that the Des Kelly sponsor is quite high, to look at at the chest. And if we had just released it maybe as a kind of one-off 50-year anniversary of the 1976 cup winning season, then maybe it would have been better. But look, maybe it'll grow on us in the next few weeks or months. When we say it out there on the pitch, we might think maybe it's we're being a bit harsh and it's not as bad as we think it is now. But yeah, that's certainly been a very divisive one. So yeah, that's the home kit. But the away kit, I have to say I'm a bigger fan of. That came out yesterday. In collaboration with Kneecap. That'll obviously be our big money maker. I think whether we'll see the figures that we saw last season when it came to the jersey sales. I think that's probably very unlikely. They were astronomical levels of income for us. That'll be very hard to repeat, even in the years to come. But yeah, I think the away kit is much nicer. The design and having the kneecap at the bit at the center. So yeah, I'm a fan of the away kit, less so the home kit. But yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same as well. But look, who knows? Maybe the home kit will own us in the when the season kicks off. So yeah, they're the two kits. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And yeah, we'll move on to the fixtures that came out today. And like it was speculated, we will be kicking the season off at the Aviva Stadium against St Patrick's Athletic on Sunday, the 8th of February, 2 o'clock kickoff. So yeah, that's going to be a great occasion again. Going back to the Aviva, was a good success last season. Made a lot of money from it. Won the game. Of course, against Shamrock Rovers. So look, we'll be hoping for more of the same. 30,000 tickets on sale now. So slightly smaller capacity compared to the Rovers game. But look, I'm sure we'll get a good crowd, and I'm sure it's going to be a good day out, and hopefully we'll start the season there with 3 points like we did in 2025. So yeah, onto for the rest of the games anyway. It's quite a tough start. We're looking at that February there. After the Pats game, we were now away in Sligo, then Derry, then our first game in Dalymount is against Shamrock Rovers on the 27th of February. So yeah, it's not the easiest of starts. Look, you can say that about every game really. It is just like that in this league. Anyone can beat anyone on their day. We saw how tight it was last year. Look, it's probably a bit early to be going into what we kind of expect from each team. Going into the season, but I'd imagine things will be quite similar in terms of how the table looks, in terms of how tight it's going to be for at both ends of the table. In the title race, European race, and the relegation battles. Look at the rest of the fixtures. Then another one that stands out is of course the last game in Dalymount before we get it redeveloped, and that game is going to be against Shelburne on the 23rd of October 2026. So yeah, that's going to be a very special occasion. Made even more significant by the fact that that was the first ever game in Dalymount. When we played Shelburne in 1901. So yeah, that's obviously going to be very special. So hopefully we'll end things the right way with 3 points in that game to make it an even more special occasion. So yeah, there the fixtures. Moving on now to some transfer news. Yeah, it's still been pretty quiet. Not really much to report on in terms of our business. We did make one signing over the last few days, and that was Hugh Martin, the young striker from UCD. Only 16 years old. So look, clearly going to be one for the future. But based on what Reynolds was saying about the signing, he looks like he will be involved quite a bit with the first team. I'm sure he'll be playing more with the under 20s. But I'm sure he'll have plenty of training sessions with the first team. He'll be involved in some match day squads. Maybe get a cup game or two. So yeah, I think that's going to be one that we'll hopefully be looking back on in the future and saying, that was a great bit of business. Great talent that we managed to pinch from other clubs. I'm sure we're looking at him as well. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. We still need to do business. We've still got a bit of time. It's only the 16th of December as I'm recording this, so we got a little bit of time to get more bodies in the door. We say that in every kind of nails roundup video now that we definitely need fullbacks. I think that's been the a big priority that's been kind of earmarked. We'll wait and see what happens there. But look, I'm certainly be able to sign a right back and a left back. Another winger maybe. We have discussed this already, but I think that's another position that we probably need a body in. So yeah, look, I'm sure there's things going on, and hopefully soon we'll see some more movement. But yeah, that's where I'll end it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment down below what you're thinking about all the the news lately, the new kits. What do you think? The fixtures. What do you think about going back to the Aviva for the opening game? What do you think about the sign of Hugh Martin? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.